Hello, this is RICKY, the Android guy. Hey guys, today we have the two best tablets that are under 10 inches out on the market right now, and that is the new Nexus 7 or the Nexus FHD versus the Note 8. Now, as many of you that follow my channel know, the Note 8 is my current tablet of choice. I actually have access to pretty much every tablet, obviously, and this is my currently daily driver. It's the one I use every single day. However, this new Nexus has been the most attractive and been one of the most ones that I've recommended to people that ask me which tablet should they get right now. So finally, I'm going to try to settle this once and for all and see which one is the better tablet, or at least which one is the better tablet for you. Let's go through the categories and find out which really is the best tablet under 10 inches. Now, when it comes to look and feel, I definitely have found a really great design in the new Nexus 7. I really do like a lot of the features that it has done. First of all, the simple matte finish on the back as opposed to glossy plastic that I've had on the Note has been a nice refresher. I like the matte finish, it looks clean, and the texture that they made, it's a certain type of texture, I'm not sure how to describe really, but it's like a soft touch coating, which really just feels very superb. This probably, in my opinion, as a backing, is probably the best material I have felt in recent years when it comes to tablets. I like it better than aluminum, better than plastic, and better than even magnesium, as I've been a fan of as well. So overall, I do like the texture on this more than pretty much any tablet. I even like the camera placement on the Nexus better as well. I like it off to the side instead of to the back. Especially with Samsung's hump, it tends to get in the way of stand cases that require a magnetic touch to the back. So it's not as convenient, even with their own Note 8 case. However, there's one thing I don't like about the Nexus, and that is these corners. They are better than per se the iPad and the iPad mini, but definitely just do not feel as rounded as I typically like. So when holding it this way, it feels fine because I have a lot of room. But however, when I'm trying to watch so that my fingers don't touch the screen on the side, I just really rather want a more rounded edges that I'm used to with the Note 8. Note 8 gives very rounded edges, which feel really nice to hold one-handed. Obviously, you have a big bezel, which makes sense for holding it one-handed, but just not as attractive looking as the Nexus 7. So overall, for look and feel, I do like the Nexus 7 for the better look and feel in a tablet. Now, when it comes to web browsing, we're going to use the Chrome browser, which of course is the stock browser for the Nexus, whereas the Samsung, we will use the stock browser that they have, which is their own personal browser, basically like a modified version of the Android 4.0 ice cream sandwich browser against each other. Now we're going to do these because these are the ones that are on their respective bottoms of each tablet. So if you look at each one, this is the one that most customers are going to use. Of course, you can download Chrome, as I always do, for my Note as well. But again, just for the average everyday consumer, they might not download a third-party browser. So these are the ones I'm going to use, since those are the ones that are their stock browsers. All right, so let's check out the web browsing capability. First, let's load the same page at the same time. And these are both using the same internet connection, so hopefully we'll see similar traits. So both are loading right now. Both seem to be going relatively similar. And the Note has finished, and the Nexus finished maybe 3 seconds after. So not pretty comparable in terms of how quickly they load pages. However, let's see one thing starting off. One thing the Nexus has a huge advantage on is screen clarity. both tablets are quad-core, so their speed should be similar. However, the Nexus has a far superior 1080p screen, whereas the Note 8, even though it's a bigger screen, it has a 1280 by 800 screen, making it more of the 720p variety. So if we actually keep both zoomed out all the way and zoom into our screens, you should be able to see a definite clarity difference when it comes to the Nexus 7, as opposed to a little bit of fuzziness around the edges when it comes to the Note 8. This does come as more apparent the longer you stay looking at it. So for clarity wise, the Nexus will definitely have a better screen. Now let's check out their fluidity and first scrolling capability. So let's move through them. So it seems that scrolling wise, that the Note just seems to be a little bit quicker comparing to the Nexus, which just lags a little bit in comparison to how the Note 8 operates in terms of scrolling. Now let's see pinch to zoom. Let me start all the way back. All right, pinch to zoom seems to be a little bit better on the Note 8, as we saw a little bit of stutter with the Nexus. And now double tap. That's pretty close. Oop. No, why would you do that? Okay, I'm gonna do one more double tap comparison. They seem to be relatively close on the double tap. I'm gonna try while it's loading just to see if it's fair. Okay, no, because that one didn't load. All right, let's try this again. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that one didn't respond that time. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh, damn, it's still loading. Okay. No. No. All right. Overall, I would say they're pretty much the same when it comes to double tapping. When it comes to pinch to zoom and to scrolling, the Note has an advantage. The Nexus also has an advantage when it comes to clarity, of course. Overall, though, I would say I'm going to have to give web browsing to the Note 8. Not simply for just obviously, you know, a screen size difference. You can see more on the screen, even if it's not as clear. You have the pen capability that gives you a lot of mouse functionality in websites that aren't mobile, as well as more consistency. Definitely goes to the Note 8 when it comes to web browsing. Unfortunately, the manufacturer Asus that makes the Nexus has just always had a little bit of stuttering when it comes to web browsing, and that has been apparent for me when I've used the Nexus 7. Just like sometimes I'm like, wait, why are you doing that? And it's happened to me more often than it has the Note 8 having any trouble. So therefore, I will give the web browsing to the Note 8. When it comes to music capability, both tablets have their speakers at different places. The Note 8 has the less favorable speakers on the bottom side right over here. There are stereo, so there are 2 speakers, but obviously you don't get the full stereo kind of sound coming out of the same side. However, the Nexus 7 has ideal stereo speakers on the back side. However, they are a bit towards the back side instead of just at the edge right here, where I rather like them, or of course on the front. But because of that, they are curved, so they do try to make sure that it's not completely muffled when you place it down, but it still tends to be a little bit muffled when flat. However, I will try to lift this up when doing the sound portion So we're going to be comparing both in sound quality. I think we have the Nexus going up first, and then this, then I'll go to the Note 8, and then vice versa. Okay, let's play the song.
From LA to New York, Seattle to the Bay, West night flights, Willow, we can lay. And y'all down in Vegas, I'm coming here. Lots of dough and cash, headed out to the state. I was a boy with a dream, had my hit in the class. Now I'm sleeping first class, got a bed in the clouds. Hit my pops to pick me up, and he said he was proud. King shit with a beanie on instead of a crown. Yeah, counting on my blessings. Shout out to the most high. Started from the bottom, now I'm sitting at the most high. Gypsies to the business, now I'm literally so fly. Motivate my brokenness, yes, that's why they call it coach, right? Yeah, back when I was broke, I was asking why I'd go through all this trouble, wipe the tears up out of my eye. Connected to my fans like we all up on that Wi-Fi, they say.
Okay, now hopefully you guys heard the huge difference in that. I always try to be fair when it comes to these, you know, especially because the sound doesn't always translate to the mic from what you're hearing to what I'm hearing live in the studio. But in this case, it's an easy winner on the Note 8 side. Just has much stronger speakers. It's one of the big downsides to the Nexus 7. It has very poor speaker quality in terms of sound output. Unfortunately, there used to be something called Volume Plus, which could amplify the sound. However, Google has gotten rid of the kind of open door that allowed for that. So now, unless you root it, you're not going to be able to do something to improve the speaker quality. So for that reason, the Note 8 definitely takes the speaker quality, which translates to much better for listening to music. All right, guys, let's move on to the next one. Okay, when it comes to movie playing, I decided to play this video twice. The reason is because I know I'm going to get those people that say, oh, you know, the Note gives unrealistic colors and it's oversaturated and all this kind of stuff. So I'm going to play it with the standard viewing, and then I'm going to switch it to the movie viewing, which tends to lower the saturation level when watching movies. So we're going to play this once with that, and then once without, so you can kind of see two different sides. All right, so let's play this.
Switch that transfers everything
Damn
over
it.
for you. I don't know if I'm feeling like I had to learn how to use your phone at one point, didn't you? Transfer contacts, music, and with Smart Switch on the Galaxy S4.
Okay, sorry it was a little bit off. I was trying to time it right, but then it got less timed correctly. So that was with the regular color saturation. Oops, wrong one. That was with the regular color saturation. Now I'm going to put on the movie saturation, which is a little bit less intense. So we will switch it to that and then play this video again. Hopefully I can time it better this time. Okay. Now, if you can see that, the tones are a little bit closer now, but this still is a little bit more vibrant. So let's play it again.
Then you should get one. I mean, they have Smart Switch that transfers everything over for you. I don't know if I really learned how to use my phone. You had to learn how to use your phone at one point, didn't you? And I don't think you can do it again.
Oh, okay, so now I'm going to lift both up so you can see both of them. So first the Nexus. And then the Note. Okay, so overall I handed these two tablets to 4 people besides myself. and I asked them to take a look at this, and that's one of the reasons I came up with switching the 2 modes, because different people minded that, so that made it more fair. Of course, you would have to know about that mode, so that's why I wanted to tell you about that too if you decided between these 2 tablets. Overall, it's a tie. The reason is normally I always give to clarity, which is definitely the Nexus 7, but the colors just still, even while they're a bit more neutral, look better on the Note. It's just definitely, obviously has a little bit of a bigger screen, so you get a bigger video too, but definitely just the colors look better in comparison to the Nexus 7. So therefore, it was a really tough decision. It was 2-2 on the other sides, and I was the deciding one, unfortunately, and I just could not. I like watching videos on both. The clarity is amazing on here, but the color is just so nice on here, so I'm going to give it a tie between the 2. Now, when it comes to their respective cameras, both, of course, have different interfaces on what they can do and how easy it is to use each one. Depending on which one you tend to like more, you will definitely get a different kind of experience on what is really your forte. However, though, when it comes to the actual quality difference, that's where we do see, I think, more of a visual difference on which one is going to be the better one. Now, they both have cameras that are really good, being that you have a 1 megapixel camera on the front. I believe this one is a 1.3 and this one is a 1.2, but as we can see here, although this one does seem to exhibit a little bit better quality and definitely less, better lighting, I would say. As we're here, I look more washed out than here. This one tends to give me a tan. My skin tone is basically in between these 2. It's not as orange as this, and it's not as pale as this. So, I don't know if you can see. This is obviously a difference. So, the clarity, I would say, is a little bit better on the front camera with this one. And obviously it didn't have as much of a kind of, you know, not a lens flare, but just the saturation, or not the saturation, but the brightness, the EV, I would say, did better on this one than on this one. Now, when it comes to the rear cameras, however, we do again get a little bit of a difference, but I think it's more of a clear winner here. Now, whereas the color reproduction is about in the middle, I would say the yellow seems to be a little bit closer to here, but the green seems to be actually neither of these. Now my camcorder is more vivid too, so hopefully this is translating okay. But in terms of color reproduction, it's kind of in between the 2. Neither one is, I would say, perfect at color reproduction. But when it comes to the camera, in terms of clarity, we definitely see a bit clearer image when it comes to the Google logo with the Nexus. The Nexus just gives a bit of a finer detail when it comes to the Google logo. Let me zoom in so you guys can see a bit better, hopefully. That the Nexus just seems to give a little bit better clarity when it comes to the rear camera compared to the Note 8. Now, this isn't a dramatic difference, but I think it's more of a clear difference. And so for quick photo taking, I would give it to the Nexus 7. It's a close one, and again, as we can see, a lot of these are fairly close, but this one will go to the Nexus 7. Now, when it comes to gaming, this was an interesting one. I've never had any problems with the Note 8 when it comes to gaming. Never really had any lag on the gaming. You can check out both respective tablets' gaming reviews for more in-depth on this. But I have to hand it to the Nexus 7 simply for the fact that you have better clarity. So I decided to put on these same two screen, on the same exact screen on a game that has just, you know, water going in the background and a little bit of graphics on there. So move it both forward. The Note 8, notice the dust, the water, the clarity right here, everything. And now on this one, so overall, you actually do get, hopefully you guys notice that you get more on this screen than you do on this one. It's cut off on there. Just leads me to believe that when a game is 1080p, it's going to fit better on here. So if they have, the game took the time to make the screen quality better for a 1080p size screen, it's going to look a hell of a lot better on here. Therefore, since I haven't had really any problem with gaming on either tablet, I will give it to the Nexus 7. Overall too, it does have an advantage. Since this is a lower price tablet, you can get the 32 gig model, which this one does not come in 32 gig, or else I would own it. But the 32 gig model does allow you to have more high-end games more easily on the tablet. So for gaming, I would go with the Nexus 7 overall. Now when it comes to battery life, these tablets are fairly interesting. Overall, these tablets will both give you at least 5 hours, pretty much no matter how you use them. However, after using both on my day-to-day adventures and needs, I would say overall the Note 8 tends to give me a bit of a better battery life. Again, this is only about a half an hour to an hour more in comparison to this. Both have about the same draining usage when not using them. Both of them just tend to drain a little bit more quicker than, say, like my Tab series. So the Tab 3s tend to drain less quickly when not using them on standby than these two tablets. Might be because the quad core, might be just all the applications are pretty much running the same. So when it comes to these two tablets, both have over a 5-hour battery, but with the Nexus 7, I tend to get about the 6 or 7 hour style battery for the most part, whereas on the Note 8, I tend to get more of a little bit longer battery life, towards the 7 or 8. Especially another nice thing about battery life is that this one does have a power saving mode, which will allow you to extend the battery life a bit, as opposed to the Nexus. Obviously you can download a third-party battery saving energy one, but I've never seen them do as good of a job simply because they don't have things like CPU usage control without rooting. Therefore, out of the box, the Note 8 will have the better battery life overall. So now we come down to the extras. When it comes to the extras, you can pretty much guess which one has the advantage here. Nexus literally always is kind of just by itself, doesn't have anything usually extra on it. Whereas the Note 8 does have a couple of extras, one being the micro SD card slot, which you can use to add 64 gigs of storage on here. You have the IR Blaster, which is used by the Watch On app to control any TV, cable box, DVD players, all that kind of fun stuff. You do also have an S Pen, which allows you to have the functionality of a mouse and using gestures and swipes and all different kind of commands that you have at your disposal, thanks to thanks to the S Pen. Not to mention that although some people might like an Android stock experience, there are certain advantages to Samsung's TouchWiz. For one, you do of course have toggles at the top, which make it a lot easier. There are third-party ones, but nothing like just having it built in. Not to mention you also have the ability to use multi-window, which obviously allows you to split the screen, again without rooting or anything like that. And it's nice to have Polaris Office built in, letting you have a word processor to be able to use it for. Now, one thing I did see is necessary with the Nexus to have the toggles is my little control center, which is a better version of what iOS 7 will get in the upcoming months. Overall, for this purposes, the extra will go to the Note 8. It just has more extras built into it, plain and simple. Now, when it comes to price point, this is a huge advantage that the Nexus 7 has. Nexus 7 for the 16 gig model goes for $229, as opposed to the Samsung 16 gig model that goes for $379. Normal price is actually $399. Sale price has been as low as $349. Now, for the price point, let's go down a few of the parts. We have the newest version of Android on here, whereas on here we have an Android 4.1, not too far off, but obviously it's not as new. We do have 2 gigs of RAM on both devices, so that will be the same. You do get some extras on here with the Google Play gift card built in, so it gives you $25 to spend on different things, but it's not, I would say, that big of a difference. However, of course, on the screen quality, we have a huge difference going from a 1080p screen to a 720p screen with the Note, even though it is 8-inch. In terms of other things, you do have 16 gigs on both. Of course, you do have the ability to add on storage with this device, and in terms of weight, there are ounces apart. So, which is the better for the price point? Well, I'm going to have to go with the Nexus. Because it gives you arguably most of the same things you get with the Note for not half the price, but definitely a substantial discount in comparison. It's going to go to the Nexus 7. It's just a better bang for your buck. Alright guys, let's tally them up. A lot of them won one or another, so who won overall? Alright guys, these two are considered some of the best tablets, and we really have found out today why. When it comes to look and feel, the new Nexus 7 takes it. Just a better feel, definitely more premium materials, and feels very nice in the hand. Overall, it beats out the Note when it comes to look and feel. When it comes to web browsing, the Note 8 takes it by a hair, simply for the fact that, of course, you do have the ability to use the pen as a mouse, so you can navigate more of like a fluid desktop when you're on a non-mobile website. Not to mention that the stock browser on the Samsung just moves a little bit better compared to the Chrome browser on the Nexus. This is again, of course, attributed to Asus. It just seems to have a little bit of lag when it comes to their web browsing, as we've seen on their other tablets. When it comes to music, it's going to go to the Note 8, of course, just much better sound quality coming from it. So we will get a richer and better music experience coming out of the speakers for the Note 8. When it comes to movies, this is a draw. This was a very tough decision. I literally had 2 people on each side. 2 people voted for the Nexus, 2 people voted for the Note 8. I'd love to hear which one you thought looked better and which one you liked better overall for movies. Please down below. Mine was a draw. I like both for different reasons. The clarity of the Nexus and the much better color on the Note made it a split decision for me. When it comes to the camera, they are fairly close, but I had to give it to the Nexus. Just a little bit better when it comes to the rear camera clarity. Even though the front camera, you could argue the Note was better. Both of them had their faults with the front camera, so I gave it to the rear camera for the Nexus. Gaming, it's just going to be better for the Nexus. You have more built-in storage. Graphics cards are comparable, although the Nexus on paper should have the better graphics card. In real life usage though, I see overall just a better clarity for the Nexus, especially for games that are optimized for 1080p viewing. Just turns out to be a lot better gaming experience. Battery life goes to the Note 8, just a little bit longer on battery life, typically half an hour to an hour longer when it comes to daily usage. Both these will get you past your 5-hour mark easily, even for heavy users. However, for typical everyday usage, you should get through a full day, depending on how you use it, of course. Extras will go to the Note 8. Of course, it just has more extras built in. You have a micro SD card slot, IR blaster, S Pen, Office, all these kind of things built into it that have a lot of extras right out of the box. Price point will go to the Nexus, of course. It's $229 versus $379. It's a $150 difference if my math is correct. So I will say that it obviously is going to be the better bang for your buck. So for the more price conscious, you're going to get the Nexus. Alright, so if you've kept track, as we tally them up, this is actually a tie, guys. It was very difficult. You really can't go wrong with either tablet, to be honest. In terms of me, my personal opinion, I feel that I am going to stick with the Note 8. However, because I like the pen feature, I like a lot of the functions of it, that is why I'm going with that one. However, I'm going to give the Nexus 7 to my girlfriend. She uses more basic usage, and she uses it for reading, so the clarity is much better for her. So it really comes down to what you're using it for and what your needs are. Both these tablets are great, and neither one is a bad tablet. Both tablets fit a purpose. For the more price conscious, obviously the Nexus is going to be the better bang for your buck. If you do want the bigger screen and S Pen functionality and just certain things that Samsung offers with their tablets, then you're going to want to go with the Note 8.0. Please leave your comments down below, and please give a like and thumbs up for this video. I would greatly appreciate it, especially if you found it helpful for your decision. Thank you for watching. This has been RICKY, the Android Guy.